and hopefully by the end of the day, we will have solved the problem. At least I'm hoping that we will be off to a very good start to implementing what is a really great idea, a timely idea, with engaging all of the key stakeholders in resolving what is this nation's and indeed Connecticut's very serious education crisis. To get our morning started, we're going to get a word of welcome from Dr. Karen. She is the Associate Dean here at the United School of Education. Well, today, as an example of the kind of collaboration and the attention, really, that this issue is being given, obviously, the School Governance Council is a creature of a very groundbreaking piece of legislation, the School Reform Act that was passed in the legislature this past spring. And to talk to us a little bit is here is the chair of the Education Committee for the state legislature, Senator Thomas Yang.
We love you, Cerise, but we love.
38 got us the Education Reform Act, and of course that is one act in the line of many acts, started with NCLB, probably with something prior to NCLB, back NCLB kicking off in 2001. There was a lot of discussion around the School Reform Act. The State Department tried to get that passed in a prior year, and it didn't pass because of economic constraints. But then the Race to the Top initiative sort of fueled a sense of urgency around the state and around the country to really take a serious look at putting teeth behind education reform and putting resources where they're needed. Some of the key provisions of the Act deal with changing graduation requirements, increasing graduation requirements so that we have students who are really college and career ready. There are things in the Act that speak to teacher evaluations, tying student performance to teacher evaluations. There are requirements in the Act that makes it easier for principals and teachers to have alternate routes to certification. And for us here today, perhaps, and you've heard the introductions as to how we got here, but the school governance councils, and I don't know how many of you know that all started with, something that came across the wire to Gwen's desk about a trigger reform bill, parent trigger bill in California. And that sort of fueled the storm around, well, what can we do here in Connecticut now that we're talking about a serious Education Reform Act to give parents some real voice with respect to what happens with their children's schools. I'm reminded of a visit, am I in all place? Okay. I'm reminded of a visit from Alberto Rattana where he told about his own experience with his education as a youngster. And basically what he said that crystallized it for me in my mind was that a parent should not have to change zip codes to get a quality education for their child. And that, to me, is pretty profound because we know that with school choice and with all the other things that we've been doing in the state with respect to reform in education has always allowed parents moving or sending their children outside of their zip codes. And while school choice is good, if it truly is an option, when there is no real option, that becomes a problem. So this school governance councils actually give parents the opportunity to fix the systems where they reside, to have a voice in making those systems accountable, effective, and truly respond to the needs of their children. The School Governance Council responsibilities, let me just step back a bit to the construction. So the School Governance Councils will have, I think it's approximately 50 members, 14 members. 7 will be parents or guardians, 5 will be teachers, 2 community members, 1 principal who will be non-voting, 2 students who will also be non-voting, only 1 on the high school level, and there is 1 household vote, 1 household, 1 vote. So even if there are multiple parents and guardians in the household, they really just get 1 vote with respect to who sits on the council and the kinds of issues that the council will be voting on. Each voted member can sit on the School Governance Council for a maximum of 2 terms, 2 two-year terms, and each non-voted member can sit on the School Governance Council for a maximum of 2 one-year terms. So the responsibilities of the School Governance Council, and it's important that you hold in your mind these responsibilities as you go through today's session, because these responsibilities have pretty clear implications for the kind of work that parents will have to do and the kind of preparation that the State Department, nonprofit organizations, and really the whole system around education, the kind of support and resources that we will have to bring to the table to enable parents to fulfill these responsibilities. So I'm just going to read through them real quickly. School government councils will have the responsibility to analyze school achievement data and school needs relative to the improvement plan. So for those of most of you are probably aware that each school that is in need of improvement has to design an improvement plan, and the districts that are in need of improvement need a district level improvement plan as well. And so parents will now have a voice, these governance councils will now have a voice in what those plans look like and what sort of priorities these schools set for themselves. They will also have the responsibility for reviewing the fiscal objectives of a particular school or district. And so you're talking now about financial understandings with respect to school budgets, the school budget process, what sort of resources, what kind of initiatives are prioritizing those budgets. And so you can just imagine that might be a skill set that for many of our parents, that will require some additional training and some considerations. They will also be responsible for participating in the hiring process of the school principal and other administrators of the school by conducting interviews of candidates and reporting on such interviews to the superintendent and local regional boards of education. They will also be responsible for assisting the principal of the school in making programmatic and operational changes for improving the school's achievement, and that's with respect to programs, adjusting school hours, enrollment goals, what the community, the school community, including the School Governance Council, consider to be the priorities for that school. They will be working with school administration to develop and improve a school compact for parents, legal guardians, and students that includes an outline of the criteria and responsibilities for enrollment and school membership consistent with the school's goals and academic focus. They will be outlined in the ways that parents and school personnel can build a partnership to improve student learning. So those are the key highlights of what school governance councils, according to Senate Bill 438, will have to undertake this school year. And I thought it said July 1st, 2010, and so we're well past that. So we're looking forward today for a really good conversation around how we can lend our voices and come up with some collaborative ideas that allow school governance councils to do this in a process-oriented and effective way. Okay.
I think this is a great example of a true partnership. So I apologize, but thank you so much, Lori.
At this time, okay, so we've got Millie Arsenagas, did I say your name right? From Chief Hartford, and she is going to be talking a bit, the Hartford Parent Organization Council, and she's going to be talking a bit about what they've been doing in the city of Hartford with respect to their own local governance.
Okay, I want to thank everyone for inviting me here today in this very important topic on school governance councils. I I've been working with the Hartford Parent Organization for about 3 years now. And it's mostly advocacy and mostly structuring the PTOs to better advocate for children in their own schools. And one of the big major things that we just worked on, I don't know if Gwen already spoke on it, was the parent trigger. It was called parent trigger at first, then we kind of compromised, and then it became the school governance council. And it was a good compromise, because what it said was, we have 185 schools that are failing in the state of Connecticut, in the urban areas. So what I've said at the LOB, I've said, well, they can't just be parents. It's a two-way street here. You know, with involvement, it takes teachers and it takes parents and it takes the whole school to make that happen in a community sense. And that's what I said at the LOB. I said, we're willing to take a chance here and say, we're wanting to go out to petition to make changes in our school. And that was a big chance that parents were taking, because in everyone's eyes, when I was looking at all the legislators, and I was hearing from other sides, was that parents were not involved in the urban communities. But I beg to differ, because I've been involved in this for 10 years. And I've seen parents wanting to get involved, and I've seen parents going inside and outside the schools and saying, you know, where can I get this and where can I get that? How can I be more involved? So I know that there needs to be a two-way street with parental involvement. But with that said, school governance councils is here today. So now we have a chance as parents to say, hey, this is working, this is not working. How can we get parents more involved? How can we make this school a better school for all kids? And that's important, because at the end of the day, those are our children. And we're left with those, our beautiful children. At the end of the day, we're left with them, whether they succeed in high school or whether they don't. So we're the biggest stakeholders. So we need to be the majority on those school governance councils. It's not a question of competition between teachers and parents. We're the biggest stakeholders. And we're willing to take that chance and learn what we gotta learn to make sure that our children succeed. And that's what it's about. So we really need now to get to the next level, which Hartford already has gone through this for a whole year, by the way. So in the first year, it was a little bit bumpy. You know, the policy didn't go as well as it should have. But parents were asking, well, why aren't they following the policy? And who are these parents that are on the school governance council when we didn't elect them? We didn't elect them, so how did they get there? I loved it. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. It's a change here. You guys are asking the right questions. Yeah, you guys didn't elect them, so there's a problem, PTOs. So go back and ask your principals, who are these parents? And bring them to the front and center and have the election done over again. Okay? So that's what policy is, right? We've got to make sure that that policy is being followed. And they're there. So this year, that happened last year. And we went through this whole, you know, going back and trying to correct it, and now they're on board. Now they're on board. We have these school governance councils. They know a little bit about what to do. But now is the true test. Because now we're watching. PTOs are watching, so, you know, the beginning of the year is coming up. We got to get our PTOs on board first, and then we go through those elections to make sure that we know who are those parents on those school governance councils that are representing our kids. And that's beauty. To me, that's beautiful. Because now we have communication, we have parents that are proud to be on these school governance councils to say, hey, I got you, parents, and thank you. Thank you for letting me represent you on these school governance councils. So this year is going to be a better year in Hartford. And I know I probably get the short end of the stick, and people are saying, well, Millie, you know, you need to step back. No, because this is the way it is. So if you keep asking us about why aren't parents involved, Your parents need to be more involved. Now is the test. So the question is, are you ready for parents to be involved? That's the question. So I'll leave you guys with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lily. So this gentleman next to me is Dr. Robert James, and he is going to take it from here and take us through a series of presentations that will set the stage for your breakout groups later. Dr. James.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Need y'all to keep the energy up. Thank you, Doreen. Thank you to all the speakers so far. We're going to get even deeper into the meat of the discussion. This session that we're about to go into will actually be done by some of our University of Connecticut Administrative Preparation Program for candidates, short for UCAP. Okay, this is UCAP. These students, there's 6 of them today. I had, I think, 30 this summer. We went through an educational policy analysis course. We studied 3 policies relevant to urban school improvement in the state. One of those was Race to the Top. Of course, within that is the School Governance Council legislation. Each of these 3 groups latched onto that topic, reached out to various organizations involved with it, reached out to the State Department, reached out to parents. We had a whole forum with various community groups hosted by UConn. And that allowed them to dialogue back and forth with those groups. And from those dialogues, they created their policy analysis. Now, this is critical. They're going to share some research, and then they're going to share some recommendations. The reason why we want to introduce research at this juncture is because school governance councils are not new. They've been around for about 25 years in various states, various forms, and various fashions. What we have learned warrants us to look deeply at research, okay? So they're going to entertain they're going to share with you their topics that they've come up with. And one of the things that we really dealt with this summer was culturally responsive teaching. How do you connect, as Mr. Coleman was saying, how do you connect the family with the school, with the community? That practice is culturally responsive pedagogy, or culturally responsive teaching. They have been studying that. That is infused into each of their topics. So part of our task today is to talk about how do you have a culturally responsive implementation of this particular policy. So without any further introductions, we'll have a first group there introduce themselves, and you can follow along with the PowerPoint, but also we provided you a pass out in the front when you walked in. If you raise your hand, we'll make sure you get your pass out if you did not get it. Okay?
Good morning, my name is Freya White, and I'm a UCAP student. I'm Jackie Downfray. I'm a parent. I think parents are powerful. I have a son who's 22. He's a senior in college, and I think he, when I look at it, he didn't turn into a statistic. He's one of those going to school rather than going to the other place, which is a big house. I feel that parent involvement is great, and I'm really excited about Billy, what she's saying about Harvard and the school governance councils, but we feel also that parents need to be trained. And we looked at training a little bit. We looked, and we're really excited about what Harvard has done so far, but we just want to offer a few suggestions.
I have a mic right here, so I'm going to just use this almost multitask. The quote that we wanted to start off with, which speaks to the true spirit of school governance councils. This was also posted on the State of Black Alliance site. And it says, it's by Margaret Mead, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Our focal question for our policy analysis was, what is the role of school governance councils in empowering parents to become instrumental catalysts in education reform?
Now, a lot of research has shown that if parents are involved, the grades are going up. And we know that I can look at some research in Michigan, and they said when parents are involved, you have higher grades, you have higher scores, the graduation rate improves. You have better school attendance, you have an increased motivation, you have lower rates of suspension, you have fewer instances of violence. This is where we're going, and you're looking at this participation.
We reviewed the Hartford school systems training, and it was broken down into 4 training modules, which are behind me on the screen. The first one was getting to know each other, so the welcoming module. The second one is participatory decision making, so learning how to resolve any kind of conflict that might occur within a small group. Enneagrams is the next one, which is dealing with personal and group styles within a group. And finally, the most important, which is what we focused on, was school governance council's policy.
Now, we interviewed parents who were actually in the training. I interviewed my principal. I forgot to say that I'm an educator in Hartford, and we've had in our school the school governance council for the last 2 years. I interviewed my principal and some other people. And one of the things that we were noticing, they said that the first 3 models, although they were interesting and helpful, they felt that what they really needed was module 4. They wanted to know about how to bring this information into their schools so they could be empowered. Now, we also looked at one, which is getting to know you. Wonderful. And we thought we could combine those 3, and then we wanted to offer our extra solution.
The next one was comparing the state's training requirements to Hartford's training requirements, and the state does not mention within its training, other than the local Board of Education providing training and using NCLB funds, it doesn't really get into the grit of the actual situation. In Hartford, however, they did provide initial and annual training, which was a step up.
Absolutely. Another thing about Hartford, their training started and went all the way into the spring of the following year. And parents were saying, well, we're finishing the 4th module, which is the most important module, sometime in February, I believe it was. And now we have only a few months to incorporate it. So one of our suggestions was, you need to start that training much earlier and have it over sometime before the fall or during the fall, so that when school starts up, parents are ready to go.
As Jackie just said, this is a rehashing of all of the feedback we received. So a lot of parents, along with administrators, had indicated that differentiation was needed, particularly for each school's SGC. Yes?
Do you have hard copies or would you read?
Sure. Can we get hard copies for you?
Did you have them?
No, we don't
We
have
could
it.
probably send it to you.
We'll definitely send you a copy of it.
Second.
The second one, which is our most critical point, is the recruitment of members remains a challenge in keeping those members. The third one was that SGCs desired more content-specific training.
And that's where we come in with culturally sensitive training, using the work of Geneva Gay and her culturally responsible teaching module. We actually created a chart. She has 5 principles of culturally responsive teaching, and then she has 18 pillars. And what we did is we looked at all of her training and we created a little chart which you received, and you might want to take a look at
If you look at the chart that's
it.
in front of you, it says, how does school governance council training respond to Geneva Gay's theory about culturally responsive teaching? And it's separated into 6 columns. And
Go ahead. Culture is at the heart of all we do in the name of education, whether it's curriculum, instruction, administration, or performance assessment. So we believe in order to help students of color, you have to help their parents. And parents need to be brought in culturally, in a culturally sensitive manner, even something as simple as having the training in foreign languages so that we can bring and include those parents. Let's look at the second column.
the second column was focused on lead indicators. Those were based on the 18 pillars of Geneva Gay's research. And as you can see, we posed reflection questions off of those leading indicators.
and then there's a rating system. And the rating system actually was based on Bloom's taxonomy.
And this is a process, this is a chart that's a process that's in process still, because we believe that we can refine it and make it even more detailed. This is the first page. Culturally responsive teaching is part of all subjects and skills taught at all grade levels. And then we pose the question, does the training that Hartford provide or any other school provide for SGC, does that answer this question? Is it culturally responsive? And we went through 18 points, which we won't share today, but you know.
It's a quite lengthy documents.
And then the final one was, as we had said earlier, just to rehash, we felt that there needed to be a culturally responsive module in place that needed to utilize Geneva Day's 5-point and 18-point pillars. And then finally, our research tool, which is in work in progress. And lastly, to complete all the training by the fall, which would make more sense.
Okay, we just want to say we really applaud Hartford for going forward with this and being one of the first districts to really have it up and running. When we studied, we found that Chicago took about 5 years to actually get their process going, and Hartford really was very ambitious and did a lot of things in a very short time. But still, however, we feel they've fallen a little short. We want to see some improvement, and we're here to say that we're studying, we're researching, and we're not leaving this. Thank you.
Thank you.